What's up, guys? So today on the channel, I'm going to take you guys through another narrated roll. You guys seem to enjoy that one that I did with one of my white belts. Today's with one of my blue belts, and this roll is not going to be the most action-packed roll, but I thought that it would be really helpful for some of you guys because what's going on in this situation is Gary, the guy on the bottom, the blue belt, he has like a pulled muscle in his side right now, and so he's not able to roll full speed. Like, he's a good training partner, super tough, but today we had to kind of take it slower. And then on me on top, I recently just got over a little knee tweak. Not a really bad injury, just like one of those things where you kind of have to take a couple weeks off from hard rolling and ease up on it. And so this was literally my first day back rolling. And so what we're doing in this situation is we're doing a flow roll. You can call it an injured roll, whatever you want to call it, but basically we're going to move at a much slower pace. So the roll's not going to be super hard, action-packed or whatever, but there's going to be some good techniques used during the roll that I want to sort of illustrate for you guys. But even more so, for you guys that are training, you'll have to, at some point, adjust your training to where you're at. So that's something that's a lot of people have trouble with because, training hard, being super sweaty, and just, getting after it, it's so much fun. But at the same time, sometimes if you're injured, if you're just getting back to training after a little bit of a layoff, doing what we're about to do in this roll is really important because it's a good way to get back into training like I'm doing. Or if you want to still move, kind of like Gary, he's a little injured, but he still wants to move around a bit. It's a good way to do it. And so, again, having gears that you can shift into is important because, if you guys go watch my matches on the channel, you'll see me moving 100%. You'll see what that looks like. But again, I can also slow it down to what we're getting ready to do with this roll and just exchange technique and stay loose and flow. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to show the techniques as they pop up and sort of illustrate the idea of flow rolling, possibly for injury's sake, or if you're just trying to warm up or whatever it might be. So let's jump into it. So notice we're going to fight here for the underhook a little bit. This is kind of a normal thing you should be doing from half guard. Shoots into deep half. And notice that I'm kind of going with the position. So as Gary moves into it, I'm not going to rigidly resist. I'm going to kind of flow with it. And you'll also notice that as we both get a little bit warmer and a little bit more movement, we'll start to kind of move a bit faster. But right now we're starting super slow. And you'll notice that I'm going to do a lot of leg lock entry. So that's just your basic, shooting up under the legs and then going for that single leg X. And then I went to full X here. Now, Gary defends the X guard, and instead of really trying to fight it, I let him get to mount. I kind of give up a little bit. Notice he dismounts, and as I start to escape, he gives me a little bit of space. Now, right here, I am re-gripping. He's going for a guillotine attack. I'm re-gripping his wrist. If you guys, if you have my half guard sweeper series, then you'll know this sweep. This is my sit-out sweep right here. So I'm coming out the back door, and I've got that takedown there. But again, he's kind of goes with it. So this is the idea of flow roll. You have to kind of give and take. And even if you're not injured or anything, this can be a good way to kind of warm up sometimes if you just need to get the blood flowing, especially if you're sore after some training. Roll through for a toe hold. And again, we're not really going crazy. Really what we're both doing is getting the bite, getting the catch on something, and just kind of moving from there. This would be my monoplata entry. Notice you step over. So if you go into side control here, let's see if I can get back there. So I'm stepping over. If you step over into this position, you've got a beautiful monoplata setup right here. Again, I'm going to kind of play around with it and see where it goes. I end up falling back here. He comes up. I could obviously attack an armbar or a triangle. So I put on a loose triangle here. Not even a triangle, just kind of throw my legs over. He defends, and then we keep moving. Now notice this. This is another thing. And this is kind of interesting because, again, when you do some flow rolling, you can kind of slow things down and you can kind of play around with some of the stuff that you're trying to work. So right here, as he mounts, what I'm doing is I'm trying to create a frame, and I'm primarily using my right elbow on the other side to push him off balance. And I'm pushing him heavier towards us, towards this side where we're at right here. Notice he just had to post his knee. What that does is that creates a lot of... basically puts all the pressure on this side and it opens up the space so then I can shove my knee, watch this knee right here, boom, go right into the position, and then that's where I'm going to shoot in for, again, a single leg X. You could go to your full X guard, any of that kind of stuff. And that's an important thing when you're getting mounted. Don't simply just allow the person to mount you. As soon as they're trying to get to mount, immediately start to work and build your frames and set up the defense. Now I'm attacking the legs, just kind of grabbing, sort of getting the entries in there and then allowing him to move out of them. And Gary has just for the record, Gary's he's a pretty flexible guy. Oh, here's a good move. I'll talk back to Gary in a second. Watch this butterfly sweep. So he butterfly sweeps me right here. Now, if you ever get butterfly swept, another thing, kind of going back to the mount thing, if you get mounted, instead of just giving up and letting people mount you, check this out. As you get swept, you can roll right into a half guard. Again, you're not always going to be able to stop every sweep, but you can at least make sure that you're in a decent position when you get swept, so you can shoot right in for that deep half. But going back to Gary, Gary's he's a flexible dude. He's about 190 pounds or so. He's super strong, and he's flexible, and he's got a disgusting guard to deal with. So if you see me pass him pretty easily during this roll, he's letting me, because again, that normally doesn't happen that way. He's a super tough roll. And again, I was rolling in, I think I was going for a knee bar, but it just turned into like a sloppy roll. Gary kicks under, comes up, and then I come back up here. Now, this is funny. This may just look like a sloppy roll, but this is often this is how I have to catch his back, because he's so good at moving and turtling up from the back. A lot of times what will end up happening is when I come up from a position right here, I have to chase that back to connect to the back to keep connected, and we'll do this kind of thing to get to the back. Literally, that's like a slowed down version of what a lot of times happens between us. Good entry. Okay, now he's playing the single leg X. And again, if you guys were watching my video just a couple weeks ago where I was talking about reaping, notice that I'm controlling the foot over here. I'm making sure that he doesn't get his foot on my hip. And then I'm sitting back. And again, I'm just kind of playing with some different stuff. And then obviously we just jumped frame a little bit. Now here's something that's interesting. If you guys get caught in guillotines a lot, which I used to have a knack for that, I still get caught on them from time to time. As I'm coming in for a takedown, he goes for an arm in guillotine, right? And as we go here, here's what I'm doing. So if I wanted to stay on top, I would have needed to hop my body over to the other side, because my head's on this side. Because I didn't do that, and because I didn't feel like I could do that, with the finesse that we're trying to play with, I'm going to roll to my back. And so a lot of times I'll do this. I'll roll to my back. Now, I'm not in the clear. He still has the grip across my neck, and he could still roll to mount. But what this does is it exposes the hands here. So if I roll to my back, I can now double up. I'm going to put two hands on one, and I'm going to break that grip off my neck. And so a lot of times if you get caught in a nasty guillotine, if you can roll to your back, you can expose those hands so you can grab them and at least have a fighting chance. But you do have to be careful about the person coming up to mount. Gary shoots in, takes the back. Traps the arm. And I was able to get, and again, he let me get out of there, just like we're kind of just moving. Again, notice that he sweeps. And again, this is stuff that we both him and I will do during a full roll. When he sweeps, I immediately stay on my side. I don't fall flat, and I immediately try to catch some sort of half guard or working position here, rather than just simply lay down and allow the person to get whatever they want. You couldn't see it. I trapped the other arm and did a basic bridge, upa escape roll. So still just kind of moving through the position just a bit more. He's going for his butterfly here. I switch the base, step over, and then we're playing a sort of an X position. Little shin-to-shin action here. He rolls through for the Kimura. And I purposely come up to see, to sort of see how he's going to take the back on the position. Because if a guy does a rolling Kimura to you, you definitely don't want to sit up, because you go right to the back. But again, it's a good way to test and see how he would take the back off the position. He ends up switching to a bit of a different position than I expected. Now here's something interesting. If you get caught in a Kimura, if you're able to get your arm tight to your body, here's what I end up doing. This has worked pretty well for me. I'll take my free hand when I get it, and I immediately fight for this hand. Okay, because basically if I get a hold of his thumb and peel it off, he lets go of the grip before that happens. But if I can, this is how it actually happens when I'm doing like a full roll. If I grab with this hand, if I grab this thumb here, basically what I would do is I would peel just the thumb off, and I can usually straighten my hand out. Now he lets go before then, but that's typically what I'll work for that grip to get out of the Kimura in that position. Time's winding down, so we're almost done with this roll. I do my own rolling Kimura that time on him. And notice that because Gary, he's not going to sit up on me, right? He's turning towards me, and that's what he should do. Because if you sit up, obviously it's easy for the person to take the back. So that's the roll, guys. 1 second. So guys, that's the roll. Again, it's not action-packed. It's not crazy exciting or anything like that. But what it's a good illustration of is whether you're warming up, whether you're injured, whether you are, coming back from an injury and you gotta kind of ease your body back into it. Like in weightlifting, a lot of times, if you've been off for a little while, you'll do some sort of reload type programming for a couple weeks where you're getting back into the swing of things, lifting again, sort of thing. And this is the same thing with jiu-jitsu. Whenever I take a layoff from injuries or anything like that, I don't just jump back in. And this is a mistake that I see a lot of people make. I get lots of messages from people. One guy in particular, he sent me a message recently. He had an ACL tear. And then after that ACL tear, he was off for like 6 months. And then he comes back his first week rather, and he was like training like 3 times a day, 2 times a day for like the whole week. And then he ended up getting injured again. And so it's one of these things where this can be a good illustration of like how you have to adjust your training. Again, a lot of people complain about injuries and things like that in jiu-jitsu, and they're going to happen. If you just live, you're going to experience injuries. Part of your job as a smart jiu-jitsu practitioner is to adjust your training. It's not to come into the gym every single day and beat the living tar out of your body. It's about adjusting the training, just like you would for anything else. If you were, getting ready to lift some weights. Some days you're going to have heavier days. Some days you're going to have lighter days with training. There's some days you got to roll heavier and harder. Some days you got to roll a bit lighter. But again, consistency on the mat's far more important than just short-term intensity. So whether you guys are coming back from an injury, whether you're experiencing an injury right now, whether you're just warming up and you need to, get a little bit of blood flow, this kind of roll is a good thing. And this is also a good chance for you during a roll to just try new stuff. Because of the slow pace, you can try different techniques and things like that you might be trying to work on that aren't, you're not able to hit them during regular rolling. So anyway, I think that's enough, guys. Hope this video was helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, throw them down in the comments section below, and I'll talk to you guys soon.